I just want to make a comment on that. I just want to say thank you from the bottom of my heart to all of you for actually doing this, because that is not easy. I love Mondays at 5 o'clock. We do this. It is my favorite. It was my favorite like extracurricular curricular activity, if you will. And then we have this full-on dance battle, but that is so much fun. It's good exercise. But the fact that you all did that, you have no idea. When the chaplain corps came in, did it. I thought that was the coolest. But you guys, I mean, I actually feel this group was better, is what my thinking. I think it was better. I was really impressed. And with the eye patch, that was, I mean, the fact that nobody got injured.
Was my idea. And
awesome.
Of course, Megan's like,
awesome.
If someone injures themselves, I'm going to kill you.
Yeah,
like,
no, that was so much fun. So thank you for doing that, being good sports.
So I think I mentioned before, this is, so by the way, the t-shirts, I encourage you to take it because I think they should have got the size right. If not, tell our team, they'll get you one. We also have books. These are authors that we've gotten to know very well. And they're some of the ones that you can take as much stuff as you want, baseballs, books, snacks, drinks when you leave. And there's food and Coronitas after this. So the Academy kind of culminates up to Coronitas, which we'll have after this. But one of the things that is important to us is the people who are heavily involved in the Academy, whether, you know, it's Peter or Daryl, Laura, like Megan and I, get a lot more conversations, and it's easy to forget all the people who have to deal with all the work we're not doing behind the scenes. At the same time, besides the cleaning staff, most of our staff comes in earlier to set up and do everything. And it's tough. It's tough because right now these academies also hit. So, I mean, right now in Q1, Valentine's is happening right now. So it's a busy kind of window. And so the timing oftentimes is awful, but we you know, find a way through, and we say, it's amazing when you have a lot of owners stepping up, kind of, it feels possible and doable. But so the only toll we want from you, the only toll we collect is to hear from you. I'd love to hear from every one of you here. I don't want to have to call you out, but I will, right? Just because it's less for me and Megan, but it's for everybody, all the next jumpers who had to double duty and do all the things that we do. And I think the purpose of helping and giving is something that hopefully you can see. It's something we've done consistently. This is our 25 years. It's baked in our DNA. We believe business is the single biggest force to do good. And it's something that we live in and out every day, despite the challenges we face with it. But if it didn't really give you anything, it would not be effective. So I don't know who wants to go first. Who has the courage to?
Hey, good evening, everyone. Dan from N1. Next Jump, thank you so much. What you've done personally for me. As I found out in the first Leadership Academy, I'm very hesitant to speak. I'm very, what's the word? I'm not arrogant, but insecure. Battling that battle. That's my back end right now. So thank you for at least getting me up here and speaking my mind. Another thing is, this is another rejuvenation. It was great coming to the first Leadership Academy. Learned a lot, lit a fire into my butt. But after 2 months of just constant problems, how we're going to fix this, this really helps me restoke the fire, help Navy change its culture, become a better company to work for. So everyone to thank for that. So thank you, everyone.
Thank you. My name is Mike. I'm from Wing 10, flying the P3s, the P8s. Just like him, I found out I'm in the insecure category based on the way I walk. Like, wow, how cool is that to confirm? But it was very interesting when we all got the insecure people together. We all had a lot of similarities, and I also thought that was very fascinating. Just by we walked, wow, unbelievable. My story begins in November when I went through the academy, and when I was there, everything's kind of changed, and I've seen a lot of changes in myself and the people that I've been able to kind of help mentor and talk through with things. But in the reflections last time, I wanted to speak, and I almost did, but I didn't for, you know, normal reasons maybe, or who knows, excuses, whatever. But I was like, oh, you know what I'm going to do? I'm going to share a personal story about me that really hit me hard. And it was a plain thing. I was like, I'm going to go somewhere a little safe. It was a P3 problem. I set up a malfunction incorrectly in training, and it was a big deal and meant a lot to me. But what I realized with thinking about the story, especially after being here in this session, was that that wasn't deep enough. That was just another opportunity to be safe and to play it safe with something I'm very comfortable with, which is flying airplanes. So during the session here, I really kind of digged into some deeper assumptions and things that I struggle with. And one of them in particular was that one of my backhands that I need to work on is how I interact with people that I perceive to be better than me, especially when it comes to leadership. That really plays out when I talk to my bosses, my superiors, but it also comes out when I talk to my senior enlisted, who I know have way more experience than I have. So Kelly, Michael, wherever you are, there's Kelly. Thank you very much for your comments today and over the last couple days. It meant a lot to me. It might not have seemed that big to you, but it really meant something to me every time you came up and talked to me. I really appreciate it. And I feel a lot more confident going to talk with my senior enlisted once we get back. Other than that, for today's session, really appreciate Nyan and Zuelan. I think I'm getting the name right. Thank you very much. That was a really awesome session. I hope to be in contact with you. I'll put in one more plug for something that we learned in November that we didn't get to talk about, but I've absolutely seen results. The Brain HQ software that Dr. Gorman talked about. So as soon as he told it was free, I was all about it. Yeah, I'm into free stuff. So I've been using it fairly regularly over the last couple of months, and I'll tell you what, it works. So I will tell you, one of my absolute weaknesses is names. I can't remember names at all. But just today, right now, I just think I said 5, maybe 6. Still working on the pronunciation. I apologize. I don't know if that's in the app. I'll have to find another one. But it works. I was very impressed with my ability to remember stuff. So for all the next jumpers, Charlie, Megan, thank you very much for having me for the second session. I know it's probably hard being selected, but thank you for letting me come here and hone my coaching skills. Thank you very much.
Man, I wish I'd gone before you. I got so wrapped into what you were saying, I forgot what I was going to say. But I'm also insecure. I can say it now, Scott. Insecure, too much humility. And so getting up here and speaking is very hard for me. And so please recognize that. But thank you all for putting me in that situational workshop. I don't know if that was you or you were the messenger, at least. That was very growthful, or it really grew me. And I'm so thankful because I never would have volunteered for that ever. And thank you for having us here again. I am excited, overwhelmed, just inspired. Bringing this back to NRC, like Scott and I, we have a plan, we're ready. We need to talk it through a little bit more before we see the Admiral on Wednesday. But I'm excited just to do the coaching tools on top of the feedback tools. And then hearing from the Air Force and the teachers, their perspectives, like really being a DDO, like we can do this. And I felt that way in November. And then, you know, you're immersed, and then you go back to your organization and you're kind of alone. I mean, Scott like helped me like lead the charge, but it was just us. And so coming back here and being exposed to more people has really helped. And so thank you. We have a plan, like even those who came, to reconnect on a, if not weekly, monthly basis. And so I think that'll help us stay charged and keep the gas. So I think that was, I wanted to say thank you to Chad and to Bridgewater, Mr. Bridgewater, Commander, I'm not sure. Gail, thank you. And then, sir, your words of wisdom after my SW, thank you. I really valued that. And Tiny as well. Your I will walk 5,000 miles rendition was fabulous. Thank you for that. And then the sleep classes, all the fitness, I really took, I don't know what happened today, but during sleep class, I didn't want to go. And Eve, actually, kind of unknowingly, I followed you up because you wouldn't let me not go. And I had kind of a breakthrough. I don't really know what happened, but in the middle of it, we were told to think of something that made us happy. And I just broke up into tears. And I still don't really know what that was. So if that's happened to anybody, I'd be love for you to come and explain to me what just happened to me. But thank you. This has been life-changing. So.
And I'm the principal of New American Academy, and we've been blessed for, I think, 3 years. Thank you. For at least 3 years to have an association with Next Jump. They've transformed our school. I want to say we do some of our versions of PD like this, and we do our own mini version of Super Saturday. So I want to say thank you to the Next Jumpers, because we do this when we run it for like 15 people, and it's like a 12-hour day when we do it for 15 people. So I can't imagine how much work this takes to do this for all of us. So I really want to say thank you to you guys. I want to say thank you to Charlie and Megan, because, you know, we've been doing this for a while, and we're like, we've got this under control. And I do want to apologize to anyone who was near the Red Room, because we probably went at it for a good hour. It's messy. This work is really messy. And so it's really not, what it did for us is it got to our belief systems. Like, we started really getting to our belief systems about coaching and about critical feedback and about, are we really being critical? Are we still being ruinous empathy? And, you know, we gave each other that critical feedback, and we still have a lot of work to do. So this was really transformative, and Matt's my TP. So going through this with him and having a plan to go back and now share this with the rest of the leadership has been really powerful for us, because we realize we do have a lot more work to do with this. And so I guess that's one thing I want to say to you guys. It's like not something that happens overnight, but it's like that idea of intensity versus consistency. And so we're really working on the consistency now, but I just want to thank you, because for us, this really was transformative. And again, I do want to apologize to anyone who was near the Red Room in the past 45 minutes, because it was a little loud, but thank you guys so much.
All right. I am Scott, as many of you probably know. Yeah, leave it to the arrogant guy to make sure everybody in the room knows who he is. So I want to start with something I typed up in an email last night, and Chad and Matt Chief, I intended to CC you guys because I sent it to Shayna, and I sent it to Charlie and Megan. And once I get you guys' emails, I'll forward it on. But this popped into my head after Obo yesterday, and during the spin class of all places. But I want you to picture a man going through the desert, right? So this man's going through the desert, and he's making it through the desert. And he's making it through because he's had training, right? Because he works hard, a little bit of luck. And he's going through the desert, but he hasn't had any water for probably the past couple days, right? And we know that you can't survive without water in the desert. And so he's making it through, and he stumbles over the next sand dune, and he sees this oasis. And he stumbles down, and he makes it up to the oasis. He's like, yes, life-giving water. This is what I need. This is what I want. And he just starts drinking and drinking and drinking. And then he stops, and his he just retches it all up. And he's thinking, what's happening? This is the water I need to live. What's happening, right? And if you think about a situation like that, his body wasn't ready. His body had been shutting down. He wasn't ready for that much water, right? So he had to readjust and drink a little bit water at a time, right? That image popped into my head yesterday during spin class. And you guys probably saw the change in me after Obo, right? That was really difficult for me. I was not expecting it. I would have volunteered, right? I'm here, like, let's do this, right? I want the water. Give me the water, right? And I get the water. I'm like, oh my God, what just happened? And so I only want to relay that to you because, one, I was way in my head yesterday, and I told a couple people I almost left early, right? All I wanted to do was go talk to my wife. And I didn't, and I'm glad that I didn't. I don't think I really would have, but I was surprised that I even considered it. And it was good for me. I know that it was. I talked about it, right? I talked about it with my wife, and she even said, like, yeah, your situation was bullshit, right? She called me. I talked to her last night. I was like, oh my gosh, she's so much more arrogant than I am, you know? So imagine what our dynamic is like at home. Don't ever tell her that I said that, please. But I've been very thankful for Shayna and seeing how we complement each other. I've been very thankful for everything that you guys have given me. Thankful for everybody who was basically came after the oboe and said, like, basically came over and said, hey, are you okay? Because it really affected me. But it's you don't build your muscles without getting sore, without tearing some of the small fibers down first, right? And then you heal and you become stronger for it. And I know that conceptually, but I wasn't ready for it. But as I said in my email last night, now I can show other people how to drink the water, right? You may think that you want all of it all at once, but trust me, you don't. So let's do this together, right? I'll be that man standing next to the oasis saying, hey, this is how you drink the water. So I want to say thank you to everybody, right? You guys can tell I love this stuff, as painful as it was yesterday. I know that's going to make me better. I'll keep in touch with all the folks. We've gotten some fantastic ideas. Thank you for bringing us back together. It has really kind of given us ideas, and seeing folks who just like, yeah, we just started coaching and they're breaking all the rules that you guys are telling us not to do. Like, we're coaching direct reports and we started with 2 versus 1 and this, that, and the other. But it's still working because the intent is there, right? So again, thank you to everybody. Thank you to the group. Thank you for listening to me ramble, because I process verbally. There we go. Thanks.
All right, I'll make it short. So I have 2 things, and one of them has to do with validation, and probably validation more for myself. When I was here in November, I struggle with, some of the stuff, that we're going through. So I talked to 2 people. Kat, where are you at? Oh, Kat's not here. Donna. Kat and Donna was 2 new, next jumper, right? And I talked to both of them separately and then together in how they were doing, and asked them a bunch of questions. And my thought is, if I come back, I want to see where they are. So I've had an opportunity to talk to both of them again, and I've seen a difference, in a positive light. They've gone from, 2, young, trying to figure out this TP thing to, inseparable now. So I asked them today if I can stay in touch with them just to see how they grow, because I think we need that. But for me, today, yesterday, I struggle with a couple of the stuff that's happening in my world. We have a lot of problem right now with destructive behaviors. That swarm thing is kicking my butt. And Nokia was another person I talked to. When she did her journey in November, she talked about being, the superstar, and then she ended up in the swamp. And then she came back up to being, a superstar again. So I cornered her, because I want to know, how do you get out of that? What motivates you to come out of that swamp without resulting into destructive behavior? Because that's where we're at. We have, folks, that get into that swamp and they think that their life is over, and they go for the bad stuff, and I know I don't have the answer to this. If I can figure that out before they get there, if I can figure out what to do while they're there to pull them out myself, I think we'll be in a great place. So I'm all in. I'm a believer of everything you're doing, and I thank you too, and the team, for bringing it. And I'm going to push this to my boss when I get back, because I think you are on the right track. Now, it is not going to be easy for us, and I know that, because our culture is different, but we can make it happen. And I'm going to do my part, to with smart people like Chad here, who I know now is, part of my team, we're going to make it happen. We're going to do our best to make it happen. So I thank you too for what you're doing, and I thank your team, and I want you to know, I'm a believer and I'm all in. All right, thank you.
Hi, everyone. I'm Matt from New American Charter School. First, I want to say, you always wonder what you're going to take back with you. Even if we take nothing back, you gave us an hour to yell at each other. And that's been building up because it builds up, and you gave us a space. So even if we implement absolutely nothing we learned here, we got that off our chest. That was a conversation that needed to happen. So we got the space for that. So thank you for that. Kind of where I wanted to go with this though is, I am a product of the whole 2008 crash. So everyone preached family to me before the crash, and then everything happened. They laid you off and they say, sorry, it's just business. And so I was like, okay, if that's how it is, fine. Like, I'm looking out for myself. You guys looking out for yourself. I'm like, I'm only doing me from now on. And so even going through this process of starting a school, even going through the process of starting an elementary school, I was like, nope, still only in it for me. I'm like, I don't know. I have no idea if Lisa's going to screw me over. I don't know what's going to happen. I'm going to take my money. I'm going to take every professional development. I will apply it in my personal life. I'm going to be as selfish as possible because I'm not getting screwed over again, you know? And I took that honestly, even when I went to the first Next Jump Academy a couple of years ago, I was like, yeah, they want everyone to self-actualize at work, because they want to make more money. They want to make everyone as the biggest revenue drivers possible, you know? It wasn't until we started our elementary school. This is our 6th year. So we started with a kindergarten and a 1st grade. And it wasn't until the graduation of last year that it changed. Sorry, I'm gonna get upset. They 5 years ago, I had to sit down with parents and say, like, hey, we're starting a school. We don't have a building. We have hired no teachers. Here's our idea. I have no experience doing any of this. Send your 6-year-old to our school, please. You know? And they did. And obviously we lost them, but like I was sitting at, and like I'm not the emotional guy, but I was sitting at graduation. I was like, there's 15, the 1st graders to 5th graders, there's 15 of them. And I was like, they stayed through this whole thing, you know? And like, but it was the tool. It was, we used the tools that we learned from you guys. We have the tools we learned from Harvard. It was this whole collection. I was like, I can drop that guard now. I don't have to be this selfish. Like I don't have to use just Next Jump stuff in my personal life. Like I can actually, like there's more of them, but these 15 5th grade, like we made their lives better. And some of the tools that we used to make their lives better were some of the stuff we learned there. So there's a lot of other stuff, but that's my big takeaway is it has dropped that guard a little bit. And I can use these tools in my professional life. And the last shout out is for the military guys. Even when I come in for breakfast, I just sit by myself. I am extroverted, but like, I don't know. It's a weird dynamic. Every one of you guys that I sat next to, and like, it's been great time. It's been great conversations. So thank you guys for honestly just having conversations with me. It was nice to be social in the downtimes, lunch and breakfast and stuff like that. So thank you.
Hi there. My name's Chris. I'm from the Air Force. So I possibly knew the least about Next Jump of anyone in this room 10 days ago when I got the note that said I was going to Next Jump. So I Googled you guys. I was like, Next Jump, what's this stuff? Saw your pictures, kind of looked and did a little bit of research. And to be quite honest with you, what I was expecting is a pleasant 3 days, a little bit of disruption to my calendar, stuff I'd have to make up at home, and probably not that big of a change. What I would tell you is, I've been to some pretty good courses. The Air Force is very good to us in that way. They put us through professional development, give us an opportunity to interact with a lot of very interesting people. The last one that I went to, we met with several ambassadors, John Kelly, Secretary Mattis, and others. What I would tell you is after the 3 days here, I think this has had a bigger impact on the way that I look at things and kind of my focus than any of those other courses. And I'm still very, very concerned about how we can implement them. I see lots and lots of challenges in terms of the way that the Air Force approaches things and we're structured, but it has had a big impact on me. And so I really appreciate it. I know that these things are a lot of work, and I know also that you guys have your day jobs as well, and your emails are stacking up just like mine are right now. And so thank you much for hosting us. I really got a lot out of it.
So I want to say, well, let me put it this way. My team, we're public educators. We work in the public schools. And not a day goes by when we are told that what we are doing is broken, can't be fixed. We don't know what we're doing. We don't have skills. And frankly, we're messed up. We get a list every morning in our mailbox of the press clippings about the New York City DOE. every day. And if you want to talk about trending, 6 out of 8 are bad. It's just, it is just not positive. So I want to thank you guys because you clearly, believing in us, I think, was more profound than you imagine. Because when other people imagine that you can change, and we're told all the time, you can't change. So each time I've come here, it's been very profound. But I would say this time around, and Charlie, you even helped me put a word on it. If it's TP 4.0, I'm down with it. I'm good. But I want to thank the belief, and also I want to say this time around to the next jumpers, I don't know all of you, but your faces are familiar to me. Like, I'm looking around saying, oh, I remember you from when you were coaching the last time I was here, and you were amazing. And that is also like, we got a little maybe second family thing going here. So thanks a lot.
So took me a little bit longer because my mind is not very fast to figure out what I want to say. I can see things pretty quickly, but I can't always articulate. So I was sitting there thinking, and Laura said, hey, why don't you just share that? So that's what I'm going to go with. So Chris, wherever you just went off to, is I'll take the bet with you. Less than 10 days ago, when I was in Rhode Island, Captain said, hey, I'd really love you to go this thing. That kind of meant I'm going to this thing. So cleared my schedule. I was actually supposed to be in Guam on a training piece out there, but we shifted everything around, did the same thing, Googled, and I can remember the conversation. I have no idea why I'm going to learn about a tech company. And that's my coming in piece. So then I get here, and inquisitive by nature, I see the right things being said. I hear the right things. My heart wants to believe it, but my brain won't get me there. So what do? I went to virtually every one of your employees that I can find on break and fact checked. And it took me from a place of not even skepticism, just not really believing, but wanting to believe, to it's incredible. I'm envious. I've told most of your employees now, so thank you for what you guys do, because it's I think you're on the verge of really changing the world more than just an organization. I think it's going to be bigger than that, because you've proven that this can exist, and it's not a small piece. It's not something that's just kind of hanging out there. It's proven, and it's in a tech business, which that's not easy to take a culture to where people are open. My stereotype is engineers tend to like to keep the crap in here. You call it black boxing, but that's the comfort area, because I can work it out in my head. I can do all my things, but you've created a culture to where that's not the okay piece. The default piece is, hey, we're going to talk about it openly. I haven't wanted to do anything other than the Navy for about 27 years. I would love an opportunity to come and take this to the Navy. Not here specifically, because I'm allergic to cold weather, so you would never see me out here. But to be part of building this into the Navy. So thank you for inviting me. Thank you for having me part. I hope we get to come back, and I hope we get to steal some of your coaches to help us bring this into the Navy. Thank you.
Lead in, because it's on. Okay. I'm a product of the Navy. I came into the Navy a long time ago, and I'm a contractor right now, that loathed thing, who doesn't even have access, by the way, to the app. So there's that. But I was here in November, and my career was I was a cryptologist, and I was good at my job, and therefore I ended up in a lot of weird places, doing a lot of weird things, first time things, weird things that messed with your head. And I learned to be very, very compartmentalized. So compartmentalized, I'm going to announce this in public. I've told 2 of you this. I did not know the name of our family pets, because you couldn't know that and still do the work I had to do. You could not do that. I was a single mother during that time frame. I'm very close to my daughter. She doesn't know I don't know the names of the pets. And so when I told you I had 2 new cats, I know their names now. I do. And the thing about that is that we do work. We have a special, when Master Chief says, to make this part of the Navy, to be honored to be part of doing that, because our culture shift so that we are agile enough to move from that compartmentalized piece that we have to be in to do some of the very difficult things that have to be done, but to be able to move out of that and to know how to get out of that and to drop the hiding. And you didn't bring it up this time, that thing about imposter syndrome. And which I think is, if you didn't hear about that yet, then you have to ask about that. But I've been using some of this stuff in my home. I was ready to quit. I mean, I'm a contractor, like I said. I've had a lot of weird stuff in my life, and I was quitting the Navy. And Captain Ramondo, N1T, where I work, he was trying to get me to stay on to do stuff with performance evaluation. And by coming here, I thought, you know what, this has a shot, and this is going to matter. And that's why I wanted to follow you, because this is, and for those of you with the orange who took all the time to put this together, thank you so much, because this does have a shot at changing it and making it doable for us. It has a shot, but it is going to take the twos to the groups to the biggers. And so thank you, and thank you very much. Thank you very much.
Hi, my name's Evan, and I'm arrogant. So I'm like Chris and Chad. I had the clues, but I was ignorant enough that I didn't put it all together, because I knew people who were connected to Next Jump in my own organization, and I just hadn't paid enough attention because I was a skeptic. I really was. I was very skeptical. So a lot of people said things. I don't want to take a lot of time. I'll just say that I'm inspired. I'm grateful, and anxious, because I think there's an incredible amount of good. So I'm like Chris. I've been to a lot of training. This is the most transformative, inspirational of those events that I've participated in. Don't look at Megan. So yeah. So this will go better this way. Now we can go back to being cool, right, Dan? Okay. So I'm anxious because I'm worried that I see a lot of potential here, and that I'm not up to the task. But look, if we can move the ball 2%, my organization will make a difference. So thank you for that. Appreciate it.
I hate talking in front of people, so I just want to thank everybody here. This has been incredibly cathartic for me. I always thought there was something very wrong with me, because I've always been very, very honest with people when I'm talking to them. So I'm an obnoxious aggressor. And I understand that about myself. And I always thought that maybe that was wrong to be that way, to tell people, and I always did it from a place of love, right? It was never from a hateful place. And I think that's the big difference, right? Is we want to do it from a place where we're helping each other. And I wanted that same feedback, and I didn't feel like I got it from most of my career or most of my life. And I think I've said to a few of you that steel sharpens steel, right? So if we're honest with each other and we're trying to help each other, then we're only making each other better, and we're both going to end up succeeding. And that, to me, I can't wait to take this back and try to figure out how to implement it. And Colonel Stewart and I have already been talking about it. And I want to thank every single person here that I've talked to for your honest feedback and your help. And the fitness stuff was amazing, even though I wanted to die yesterday. And everybody here, I told my daughter she needs to apply to be an intern, because I think she would love it. So if you see her, say hi. But thank you so much from the bottom of my heart.
Hi, I'm Elise. I'm from Department of Education with Larry. So Larry came to myself and my co and said, I have this opportunity. One of you or someone on your team can join me. And we had done a book study with the book Everyone Culture 2 years ago, and had a lot of questions and concerns about it. And after that, my boss was like, we are a DDO, and proceeded to give feedback to one of my colleagues, who then quit. And so when Larry said, who's it going to be? We literally were drawing straws to see who's the sucker that has to go. And I'll say, well, this is a backhand of mine for sure. I'm like, as you can tell, I'm very nervous about being up here. I'm so, when I got here and after the first day, I'm like always texting. My co and I are training partners without knowing that we were training partners. And so I was texting him throughout. I'm like, oh no, really, this might be okay. And then like at the end of the day, it was on my train ride home, this whole litany of things. I'm texting him and he's like, I'm like, you really should have been here with me. And it's just been a really amazing experience on so many levels. One, like all the next jumpers, just like the small little details of things is amazing. The fact that like when I walk in, people are smiling at me, which doesn't just happen in our world in New York all the time, right? Like that's amazing. Or just like the small details of the snacks and the way people are like rolling tables and setting them up for us, even though they're not operations people, right? Like just that energy and excitement is like, I appreciate that. I see all the details of it. I appreciate being out of my comfort zone in the work. Like I enjoy a good workout, but I've never danced like that. And I've never seen my coworker in gym clothes, right? Like that's kind of awkward. And so, I mean, all good experiences. And I guess I'm really most excited about like going back and effing this up in spectacular ways and continuing to have a relationship because I see so much potential for the leaders of New York City. And I'm excited about that. Thank you all. Oh, and one more thing, sorry. The diversity of the folks in the room, I have never been around so many military people in my entire life. And other like charter and other school folks, thank you all. Like your experience and being with you has been very meaningful.
So I had to look up cathartic. Providing psychological relief through the open expression of strong emotions causing catharsis. So the fact that I had to look that up is proof that I had needed to be here, I think. And I would say that, you know, I'm Jeremy, I'm from the Air Force as well. There was a little bit of reluctance for me. I usually really love coming to these things, and the Air Force gives its senior leaders a lot of opportunities to go to some amazing classes. They're usually, you know, supposed to be about the senior leaders and how they can affect organizational change or organizational excellence. And I usually come out of that thing thinking more about what I can do, what I need to change, you know, what it is about me. And I was a little reluctant to come to this one. I missed a couple of my son's basketball games, which is a big deal for me. So I get out here with a little bit of reluctance, a little bit of skepticism, and a little bit of maybe excitement or wonder on why I'm exactly here, what it is that I need to do, what it is I need to think about, what it is I need to change. Is it macro or is it micro? Which one, you know? And I ended up coming out here really trying to find, is there something bigger within the Air Force organization that we needed to get after? And man, I found some of that in spades. And I think that I'm really excited about where we're going forward with what we could potentially do. Some of the things that you know, not can we change, but should we change? And yes, I think there's areas that definitely we should. And along the way, finding a lot of the micro things that we can do. So I'm actually leaving here hopeful on both. I always tell my sons, you know, I said, hey, you know, surround yourself with people that are interesting, people that are passionate, and people that are just genuinely good people. And I found a lot of those here in this room. If I have a lot of backhands, but one backhand that I really notice is I leave places like this and I fail to keep up relationships. I fail to make the connections that I really need to. So unfortunately for y'all, I'm going to try to get rid of that backhand because I think we're going to need a lot of help as we go forward. And I think a lot of that help will come from people in this room or people just like you. Thank you very much.
So I came with my lovely colleague Lisa a year ago and got all teary when I came up here and talking about how fantastic the experience is and how really inspirational it is. And I was able to, y'all, you didn't laugh when I told you about the bathroom when I introduced myself, but you would be amazed what some really nice smelling soap and lotion. And I mean, when you've got, the first day I did it, I had 8 different colleagues come into my cubicle and say, thank you. And so it's really, I just keep it up. It costs me money, but okay. And I've even got the little sign that says, this restroom proudly owned by Rita. Thank you. I want to thank Dan, Shay, Kathy, and Steve for allowing us to practice coaching on them. It was really valuable for us, and we learned a lot. I learned a lot watching my cringeworthy video. I also really wanted to thank Chad, Tiny, Scott, and Shayna for putting yourselves out there, even if it wasn't voluntary. It was really, and the 2 of you, it was really a valuable experience. I mean, I was writing down everything, Charlie to Scott, Megan to Chad. So really very valuable. I hope we'll have the opportunity to come back again. I tell people about this experience all the time, especially sleep class, which when I saw it on the agenda last year, it's like, are you out of your mind? And it's like, oh my God, oh my God, okay, just a half an hour. Okay, thank you. So, and to all of you, thank you so much. You're all really inspirational, and I'm sorry it's over.
I'm sorry. I just ordered him to give it to me. I guess that puts me in the arrogant category. But as a religious professional, I'm going to tell you the first thing I heard about 10 days ago when I was asked if I could change my schedule to come here, I thought, what the hell am I going to do at this training, and what am I going to learn from it? And now I'm also saying, as a religious professional, I have a mic and I have an audience, and we're not going to be here for a long time. I just want to thank all the Next Jumpers for everything that you did to share your heart and your soul, which is obvious that you do that on a regular basis with one another. That is beautiful to see. It is beautiful to experience. I appreciate the time that we had together in all of that. I have about 20 pages of notes, and I am not a note taker. So I just want to tell you, Charlie and Megan, I have 20 pages of notes. I am going to kind of go through that and try to get that cleared out in my head. This has just been an outstanding experience, and I want to thank you on behalf of all my chaplain colleagues. I can't imagine that they're not willing to come up here. That's a challenge all. But I just want to thank you for all you've done. Air Force, by the way, if you didn't know already. But thank you. Thank you.
So I'm Jay Cho. I'm with Larry with the DOE. So I'm arrogant. I told my wife yesterday when I got home after putting the kids down, I was like, can you believe like I came out as arrogant? She didn't say a word. She was like, huh. Huh. So I think when we signed up for this, when I signed up for this, I also did some research. I took a look at some YouTube clips, heard an incredibly powerful story that Charlie shared, but still being a New Yorker, growing up here, I was like, what's the catch, right? What's the pitch? What's the catch here? And I think I thought that on the way in, as we had breakfast, and as I shared a couple of days ago, I think the first moment where I was shocked was during that culture tour, when Deepak and Keel were just able to openly share what they're struggling with, and then say, you know what? I'm struggling with this, and here's what I'm going to do about it. So, I mean, I heard some incredibly insightful lecture. I have tons of notes, but it's incredibly inspiring to see the talk play out, because it's not common. There's a lot of talk, but for the talk to play out the way it does in a consistent fashion, in your employees and in your organization is incredibly inspiring, because I don't see a lot of that, both in individuals and in organizations. The other, I think, reflection I have is during the oboe, again, I was so fixed on the coaching. So as a coach of aspiring school leaders, I'm thinking, okay, so what am I getting out of this coaching experience, and how is this advice giving impacting the way you're coaching? And I today during the implementation discussion, there was a big moment of like aha for me, where what are we doing to develop the next generation of leaders? And the focus is not so much on the coaching, which I think is important to give good advice, but it was on the folks that were sharing their situations and how they take advice and how they go about choosing and making decisions around which advice is best. I think that was a big moment for me, because I'm so fixed on one way of thinking about coaching and learning that I couldn't shift to see the impact that it should have on the people that are sharing their situations. And that's what we're coaching, and that's what we're trying to have them develop, is to become better decision makers. And I just thank you for helping me see that different perspective, and just inspiring to see what an organization could be. Thank you.
Hi, I'm Mark, Air Force, and I'll take your challenge, ma'am. I know how to follow orders. So, but to all of the next jumpers, I want to say thank you, because nothing like this goes off without hard work and dedication and commitment to excellence, and the little things, and you always had a smile. And so thank you, because it's one thing to say it, but it's another thing to live it. And you guys have lived it. And as we were having talked with our folks throughout the week, and they talked to us, no matter what angle we came back, you always know we do this. And so we've got a lot of notes and a lot of things to do and a lot of structure to look at in the Air Force, but I'm hoping that we'll be able to implement this on some level in the Chaplain Corps, in the larger Air Force, to make an impact for our men and women serving on the front lines who desperately need to be authentic. So thank you for what you're doing and what you're going to do in the future.
Thank you. Oh, I'm going home so full. All my life, I've skewed so painfully insecure. But in my test yesterday, you know what? So we'll see what happens. Seriously, I'm just my heart is just breaking. I'm so grateful. I was here. This is my third time. I was here in August, and I was able to appreciate the incredible Avengers experience and how you all take such good care of each other. And it's just great to see you all again. And thanks for holding us all with so much care and love. I also want to thank the Situational Workshop crew for helping us learn how to be better coaches. And hope to see you again. And thanks all of you. What a delight to meet all of you. Thanks for enriching me.
Thank you. Hi, I'm Monica, and I work for the Navy. I've worked for the Navy about 16 years. And when I first started working for the Navy, I was a human factors psychologist, and it's still in my title, but I have yet to be able to do it, which is the interaction between people and systems. And over the course of my career, I've been told not to use the word feelings because Navy doesn't feel. And I'm just focusing on the human aspect of it, and that sailors are human, and that I'm human. And I've been told you can't issue Care Bears, and you're not supposed to care. But what I see here is y'all care so much. Like when we had lunch with you and we said, do you mind working long hours? You're like, it's a family. And that's like, I have so much hope that we can use your tools to bring back the care, like, and say it's okay to be human and bring your whole self. And I'm just really inspired. And I thank you so much. Like, I'm all in.
All right, my name's Chris. I hunt submarines for a living. And wait a second, that's gonna boil. Number one, my backhand is this. I hate these things. So I'm gonna try to get through that. All right. This is my third. There's a lot of foam in the first one from the kegerator, but I got that worked out. So number two, I graduated school as an engineer. So a little bit of relation there with a lot of your team. I did some aerospace, electrical, mechanical, but no software. All right. So that was, it was pretty cool to be able to talk to some engineers since I haven't talked to engineers in a long time. So I graduated 15 years ago. So it's all pretty much flyers and commanding officers and things like that. Okay. So my third point, I want to just kind of bring up a little bit of a observation I had. It's kind of a byproduct of your business here. So who's seen Office Space? Everybody? I think everybody probably. Okay. So you guys remember Tom? Tom was the guy that went in and see the Bobs that pretty much interviewed for his own job, right? He went in and his line was, "I talk to the customers so the engineers don't have to." Remember that? It was very. I mean, I could have said it right, like with a lot of energy. But what you guys have effectively done is you've taken away that role in the business. So you've given these people, not these people, but the engineers, the confidence, the thinking, the leadership to be able to remove Tom's job from the industry. And that's a pretty cool byproduct. So what I want to say is thanks, Mike, for making me come, being an engineer. All right. Without this, I'd be fine. And thank you guys. You guys are like the super Initech. All right. On steroids. That's pretty cool. All right. But thank you very much. And your team is awesome.
So Scott, I figured out why you were dreaming about water during the spin class. I forgot to bring water in there too. So it was, no, it was great. So when I was asked if I had the time on my schedule to be able to come here from my boss who had she came to the feedback session before, I said I'd love to, because I'd heard good things about Next Jump, but I didn't really know what Next Jump was. I just heard people say, "Oh, it's great, you got to go." Okay, so I did a little research too, saw a couple YouTube videos, and I was really excited to come when I got here. And but I got a lot more out of it than I expected. I expected to learn some techniques on how to be a better mentor, a coach. How can we try to learn to lead people better a little bit? But I learned a lot more about myself, I think, than anything, about the areas I need to improve to be a better leader. I lead a very large organization, a very large group of pilots, which are all type A personalities, which is a challenge. And hopefully I've gained enough here to hopefully better lead them and work with my boss to implement this across the base. And hopefully I get the chance to come back to the feedback one now. I know I'm doing it out of order, but I learned so much here. I really want to come back and do that one now and figure out how I can better, get rid of LHF myself. So thank you.
Can't hide, can I? All right. First of all, so I would like to thank you, the Next Jumpers, for what you guys do and for giving your time out of your day to entertain us and to teach us and to show us. Daryl, I mean, thank you guys for setting this up, for taking care of us while we're here, guiding us through this stuff. But really, I mean, everybody, you guys, and even put up with my questions to you and like ping and you wait, how do you do this? And what do you do here? And what do you do here? And how do you feel about that? Or whatever it is, So because it's a learning process. And I was trying to learn because I see your culture and what you guys have created. And thank you for sharing your house and your culture with us, and to try to help us to improve ours, because I think that's what it's about. You kind of mentioned it, Charlie, like back in the 50s, the corporations went to the military, hey, how do you make us more efficient? Or, how can we do this better? And we help, right? So the military helped corporations to do things a little bit better. Now it's that turn. Corporations giving back. How do we take care of our people better? How can we improve our culture? And now we're coming to you. And hopefully, maybe this will help us. I hope it does. So being here for me is a privilege. I didn't go to the feedback one either. So this is the first time that I was able to come here. And I don't know if it was out of order or not. I mean, because I like getting this broad view. I feel like a broad view, and now I can go back and learn a little bit more, and I want to come back and learn a little bit more, and keep going. But I definitely hope that I can take this on into the Navy, and to help us give them what you guys have here in some way. So, but thank you very much. I appreciate it.
Hi, it's Bill from Navy, from NLIC. I also tend insecure and prefer introversion from my MBTI, so this is not very comfortable, but I've gotten better at it over the years. I did do the Feedback Academy in Boston about a year ago, and honestly, I did come out very skeptical. Wasn't sure why not this would work for the Navy. Again, we know that we can give everybody a master class in hiding, lying, and faking, because that's what we do all the time. And I think the second time around, this has been a bit an eye-opening experience for us. I appreciate the time that you, Charlie, and Megan took with us to try to discuss how we try to put this into our leadership courses, and how do we make NLIC the model of a DDLO as our CEO has made our vision, and how do we infect the Navy, but starting small, as you guys pointed out. So I appreciate all the next jumpers, especially those who talked with us our situational leadership workshop, Chad and Keon. They go. I don't memorize names either. And all the folks that helped out in this, having done similar things, it takes a village to try to get all the logistics done and working those late hours. So as we're waiting here at 9 o'clock at night because we don't have to go home, you guys are here entertaining us and answering our questions. We really appreciate that. So again, definitely enjoy the second experience, and your guidance and is really going to help us, I think, as we move forward to the next step.
Hello, I'm Mike. I'm with the Air Force. I found out yesterday I'm arrogant, but I also like to go last. So I don't know what that exactly means. But for some context, I got to hear Megan and Charlie speak at the Chaplain Corps Summit last August. And so I did a lot of research, like some of you read the Culture of Everyone. And to use the shit sandwich analogy, I was like, wow, that's a lot of bread. So I'm like, what's the catch? And so when I was asked to come here, I came with a healthy dose of skepticism. But I also came somewhat, hopefully, with an open mind. I imagine most of us, whether we're in the military or come from human services or the education department, we all have some type of values that espouse integrity, service before self, excellence. And those look really good on a wall. But when you put that into practice, or when we actually talk about putting that into practice, we usually experience something very different. So I wanted to come here and see firsthand if it was a shit sandwich or if this was the real deal. And so I used the 3 days to engage with a lot of the next jumpers. I know, Laura, I probed you throughout the 3 days. I would sit there and give her feedback, and she's like, that's a great idea. Thank you so much. And I'm just sitting there like, wow, I'm like waiting for the other shoe to drop. But she just took it in stride. And then to hear those first TPs go through their SW together, and watching Gowrie in particular, I flinched when I heard some of the feedback. But to hear him and look at him, and he accepted that with open arms, and to see the compassion between the two of them, I was like, wow, this is real. They get it. They're doing it. And so at the end of it, You know, I walked in thinking, I was like, how can this be true? And how can this be possible? But I'm walking away asking myself, how can you not want this? And how can we not want to build this into our organizations? So thank you both. Thank you, Next Jumpers, for the opportunities, for being willing to open up your doors and your lives to us. That's a very scary thing to me, but you make it look effortless. Thank you very much, and I hope we can bring this back to our organizations and model what you have spent years perfecting. Thank you.
Hi, Stephanie with the New School. So I'm also one of the newbies. It's my first time here at Next Jump, and I've mentioned the story to Lisa and Rita, my colleagues here, but I had a super weird experience on the first day. I was sort of sitting here listening to Charlie and Megan, and I thought, this feels really familiar. Why do I feel like I'm already part of Next Jump? I'm really skeptical, but at the same time, it feels super familiar. And it hit me. It was because I used to live down in Washington, D.C. I was applying for jobs with the CIA. And while I was waiting for applications to come in, I worked for a startup sales company called Meltwater News. And Meltwater, so back in 2006, was also what I would now call a DDO. Very familiar concept of culture. Super Saturdays, quite similar to what Next Jump does. And I thought, oh, wow, I'm back home. I'm back with the family that I had at Meltwater. And I think that's just a great way to think about what Next Jump is and everything that the team here has done for us. Thank you for taking care of us, for letting us into your lives. I, like many of you have said here, have learned more about myself through this experience than the tools that I think I'll be able to implement, tomorrow. I have specific things that I have learned about myself that are completely apparent. And so I thank you for all of that. So for those of you who may have a drink in your hands or by you, just want to raise a quick glass to Next Jump, to all of you who worked tirelessly to pull this off. I had conversations with many of you, those of you who were working on the Academy for the first time. So thank you. Just thank you for everything that you've done with us, and hope to see you soon. Cheers.
Everybody, my name is Brad. So I'm quiet in these type of environments. I'm trying to let it all process. So when coming here, I'm probably one of the only ones. I didn't do a lot of research coming here. We got a message from our chapel leadership saying it's the chapel we're trying to tackle toxic leadership. So okay, that's up my alley. I've been in leadership roles probably for the past 12 years, and that's something I take a lot of pride in. So when I first got here, that first morning when we went to the SW, I was like, holy shit, what is this? I appreciate the realness of just the vulnerability. Now, I put myself in the team's shoes. I mean, I don't know if I could be that open, but especially talking about getting passed over for promotion, that's a big deal. I mean, you really have to be honest with yourself and be comfortable, but the humility, I mean, it's commendable. So every day I went home, I had pages of notes, and I just looked up, how can I use this to make a difference in my organization? Then the next day we come over, get new material, then I scratch over everything. I got to start over. So to me, coming in today, I was like, okay, what am I going to do? Because I know that there's an opportunity for me to make a difference. But today really set home when we talked about just how coaching affects and what the impact I can have. So I'm really excited. I have a 8-hour plane ride home, so it's gonna be, I'll probably end up scratching over the notes I got again and just starting from scratch. But I'm really excited about this, and I look forward to the opportunity to possibly come to some future ones. So I just want to say thank you. Thanks for the Next Jumpers team for putting this together. I know this is a lot, but it was definitely an awesome experience.
Thank you. Good evening. My name is Brett. I'm also with some of the other Navy folks from NYC, but up at the Newport site. And I'd say about a year and a half ago, I started hearing about this company called Next Jump. We had a couple of our instructors go through the academy, and then again last year, and I was just hearing some of the I don't know, just some of the principles and the beliefs, the attitudes of the people there, and having just come from a couple of difficult command tours where it was so hard just to come to work. I thought, man, wouldn't it be nice to be able to have the Navy have commands like that where everybody believed in each other and everybody were open to feedback and new ideas and what that would do for the Navy. And I thought it was an incredible idea that sounded really good, but was it just some sort of pipe dream that didn't really exist? So for the past year, we've been trying our best to implement it at NLIC, and it's been a struggle to say the least. So again, I went back to, well, maybe this is just something for the civilian sector, but it's not going to work in the military. Couple things that I learned from being here. One is a whole lot of self-aware, a whole lot of self-reflection. How much LHFing I've been doing for a long time through those, especially through those couple of tours. Things that I need to work on myself, but then I also probably the other biggest thing is that I took from being here was, Charlie, Megan, thank you for what you did, but quite honestly, as the CEOs, I would expect you to be excited about what your company is doing and be able to put that stuff out and talk about it like that. But I think what I gained the most from being up here was just interacting with, whether it be listening to or just interacting and watching the other Next Jumpers here, and the way they carried themselves, the way they talked, the way they treated everybody else. That was absolutely incredible to show that it can be done, and even more excited now to try and get this into the Navy. So thank you.
All right, I think that was everybody, right? So, all right. Well, thank you all for coming up and sharing your. Oh, Ken, you're hiding here.
So you found my weakness. This is what I've been doing for 20 plus years. So it's amazing, you can command a warship and be more afraid to stand up in front of people like this. But no, I've really enjoyed the experience. I did it up in Boston last November. Got a lot out of it. The biggest fear I have is that we hold this excellence up to our sailors and then we fail in the implementation. And so that's what I'm struggling with now, is how we're going to make this work. Because again, the biggest fear I have is that we give them a glimmer of hope and then it's snatched from them. And so it's going to take some senior leadership to get on board, more than what we currently have. But I'm confident. I think we have a strong group of folks who are very committed with this, and definitely going to make our Navy a better organization. So thank you both. Thank you all, Next Jumpers. Great job. Appreciate it. Thanks.
All right, so thank you again for coming up to give your reflections. Going outside your comfort zone is a way of life for Next Jumpers here. So I especially appreciate those of you that had to go outside your comfort zone to come up here and share your reflections.